Life is hard. It doesn't matter if you're young or old, it sucks. But as a kid, at least escaping your problems was easier. My personal coping mechanism was television. And it was great. There seemed to be an endless supply of dumb crap for me to watch. The shows didn't have to be any good, they just had to be on. And one thing that was on a lot was Pokemon. Hands down, Pokemon was my favorite series growing up. I watched the shows, collected the cards, poured hundreds of hours into Red itself. At night before bed, I'd even pretend I was a trainer in my stuffed animal's Pokemon. Pokemon was so great because it created a world I wanted to live in. But then I grew up. Now, that feeling of pure excitement is a foreign concept. In an attempt to recreate those feelings, some adults retreat into the past, but that rarely works. With age comes experience, and entertaining experience requires a level of sophistication that kid shows just don't possess. Have you ever rewatched a beloved childhood movie? Don't. Keep it a happy memory. It doesn't matter how much I love Pokemon. At 30, I just can't watch a forever 10-year-old travel the globe anymore. I honestly thought that the joy that Pokemon implanted on me was lost forever to the sands of time. That with age, fear and monotony replaces fun and imagination. But then, a miracle. Pokemon Concierge released and completely blew me away thanks to its vibrant environments and stop-motion animation. It's truly a sign that God exists. It's like a warm digital blanket you can just drape over your mind after a soul-crushing day and let go. Which is why I believe that Pokemon Concierge is the ultimate millennial comfort show! And it all starts with the stories it tells. Chapter 1. Themes. Some people think just because it's a Pokemon show that it's meant for kids, but they couldn't be more wrong. Right off the rip, Pokemon Concierge shows its true colors as Haru explains the events that led her to the island. Heartbreak, work drama, gum in the shoe, already a radically different tone than the anime. The anime is a pretty joyous show with Ash on a quest to achieve his dream. The episodes move at a lightning pace and they're full of action. But Pokemon Concierge? Not so much. The major tone difference is thanks to who the target audiences are. The anime is trying to appeal to kids, so the world and stories need to be simple because kids are simple. But that's not Pokemon Concierge. Pokemon Concierge is for adults. And being an adult is complicated. You got all these responsibilities and obstacles. It's depressing. Hence why our shows are depressing. It's our reflection. Think of some of the biggest shows of all time. We have a teacher too poor to afford cancer treatment so he sells drugs, a mobster dad trying his best, and a bloody power struggle between multiple kingdoms. Wow. Don't grow up, kids. These shows are successful because they resonate with us. How many Americans are one healthcare emergency away from bankruptcy? How many parents are just trying to do their best? It's nearly impossible for adults to lose themselves into kids' media because it doesn't speak to their reality. Pokemon Concierge wants to hook adult viewers, so it needs to tell adult stories, which it does in spades. Fear of a big change, overthinking responsibilities, growth through failure, these are just a taste of the heavier concepts presented in Pokemon Concierge. I can't visualize myself in the anime anymore. Being a Pokemon master just doesn't pay the bills. But I can see myself in Pokemon Concierge because it speaks to my experiences. Which is funny because experience is why children will have a harder time. Kids lack experience. It's just the essence of youth. Without experience, adult themes and messages just won't connect. That's why, for the most part, the stories in kid shows are pretty basic. Sure, the location and characters change, but it's the same Barney lesson of the day repackaged over and over again. So yeah, as a kid I had stressors, but they were mostly related to the blue shell in Mario Kart. Not the existential dread of knowing you made all the wrong choices in life. For more cheery thoughts, be sure to subscribe to Media Philosophy. Whether they're good or bad, it's our experiences that make us more complicated and interesting. That's why we crave complex stories, and Pokemon Concierge aims to satisfy that craving. I mean, where else are you going to see a clinically depressed Pikachu? Nowhere. It's why Pokemon Concierge is the ultimate millennial comfort show. And telling these much more complex stories requires a much more complex main character. Chapter 2. Haru. Haru. What could be said about Haru that isn't better summed up by a picture of a bunch of tangled up cords? She is unlike any other protagonist in the Pokemon universe. Hell, she's unlike any secondary or tertiary character. She's anxious, paranoid, overthinks even the smallest of tasks. She's basically Tweak from South Park. How a bunch of suits got together in a boardroom and decided upon Haru is beyond my comprehension. Yet here we are. Probably my favorite thing about Haru is how she feels much more real than Ash. I don't know what Ash's mom does to fund her son traveling the world, and I don't want to know. We can't all go out and go live our Pokemon Master dreams. Some of us have student loans to pay, and Haru understands that. And it's cool watching a much more average person living an average Pokemon life. It's like focusing on a shop NPC from the game. That kind of character is much more grounded in reality. Of course, Haru isn't without her faults. She suffers from anime grown syndrome, which is fatal if left untreated. Please, talk to your doctor if you or a loved one is experiencing AGS. But she is such a refreshing take in a world full of stale characters and one-trick ponies. We get it, Brock. Dim Ladies is hot. Because Haru is more realistic, she has more realistic faults, which may hit close to home for some viewers. And I get it, most people aren't watching Pokemon to be reminded of their faults. But let's be real, I don't want to watch some Chad trainer live his perfect Poke life, because that's not me. I can see myself in Haru, which makes Pokemon Concierge much more enjoyable. Because remember, it's the ultimate millennial comfort show! And the main character is the show's ambassador. You should be able to ascertain a little bit about the show or who the target audience is by glancing at the main character. And that's why kid shows typically have children main characters. And for children, honestly, Haru is probably more of a liability than anything. And it's not because she's an adult. There's been enough adult main characters in kid shows, but they're usually either like really zany or adventurous or dating deer. Haru's problem is she reminds me of my sad aunt that never had the same cat for more than 18 months. Her weird energy is just gonna scare kids off. And that's fine. Making it so Haru appeals to children would require a major overhaul to simplify her personality. But she's perfect the way she is. Haru has so many excellent qualities. She tries hard, bounces back from failure, wants to help. I'm excited to see how Haru grows because she's a great ambassador for the ultimate millennial comfort show. But she's not alone on screen. Chapter 3. Pokemon. It's no secret that people are drawn to the first Pokemon they were introduced to. I played the original Red, so those first 150 pokes will forever be in my heart. Even if they're the most basic, bland, simple Pokemon. And for any other 30-year-old man watching this video, I know it hurts, but it's true. So many Gen 1 Pokemon are either straight up depictions of real animals or just simple shapes. I mean, who could forget such inspired designs such as bird, caterpillar, circle, circle with magnets, circle with swirl going the other way, or my personal favorite, circle with swirl going the other way and angry eyes. Such a classic. But really, what can you expect from the first Pokemon? They were designed nearly 30 years ago. It's natural that they feel a bit dated now that the design philosophy for contemporary Pokemon are completely different. So it's an objective fact that Pokemon today are just more visually interesting. But you know what beats facts in 2024? Feelings. And I feel so much love for Gen 1 and 2 Pokemon, even if they are just a menagerie of shapes blended together. They're my long-term childhood friends. So why am I babbling on like a drunk uncle talking about the Confederacy? Choosing what Pokemon to feature is a huge decision for a Pokemon show. It signals which age group it's trying to attract. And while Pokemon Concierge does have a good mix, it's Generation 1 and 2 that steals the spotlight. And if you're not convinced that this focus on Gen 1 Pokemon was a deliberate choice to intrigue millennials, then how do you explain Psyduck? He's dopey, clumsy, easily flustered. Out of 1,000 Pokemon, Psyduck is Pokemon Concierge Pikachu? Why? Because he completely embodies the millennial spirit. Seriously, he's so powerful, he gives himself a headache, which is the most absolutely perfect metaphor. I can see Psyduck frantically regretting making plans the day of. He definitely has 18 unheard voicemails dating 10 years back. Psyduck's calling restaurants and then hanging up the moment they answer. Don't you see? The Pokemon Company did this for us. They wanted us adults to have a show. And not just any show, but the ultimate millennial comfort show. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Generation 1 and 2 Pokemon were selected because they're easier to animate. Chapter 4, Art and Animation. Pokemon Concierge's unique look is all thanks to stop-motion animation. This labor-intensive animation style breathes fresh life into a stagnant series. And because Pokemon Concierge looks so good, you know it's not meant for children. Kids aren't too concerned about quality. Things just have to be good enough. And this is true across many industries. Clothing, entertainment, hell, it's the reason why mac and cheese and chicken tenders are on every kid's menu. Now, I'm not saying they won't enjoy a 5-star steak dinner. It's more they won't appreciate it. To an 8-year-old, there's not much difference between a Michelin star 4-course meal and Lunchables. And entertainment companies know this. It's why so many kids shows look like they were animated in PowerPoint. Why extend the effort to give them Miyazaki when they're just as happy with Skibby Toilet? But adults, we need quality. Try eating nothing but chicken nuggets and see how long you last. It's the same for our entertainment. Adults require effort to impress. Like a drug, we build up tolerance to entertainment, always needing more and more to feel those highs and lows. So for Pokemon Concierge to gain the attention of adults, it needs to look incredible. And it looks beyond incredible. I don't know how Dwarf Studios did it, but they pulled me from my dingy living room and into a tropical island. And the magic doesn't stop there. Using physical materials, they brought Pokemon to life like never before. It's incredible. They managed to capture the essence of each Pokemon, making each one feel so real, yet faithful to its anime counterpart. This was the grand endeavor that Pokemon desperately needed. Pokemon really haven't been presented in a dramatically different fashion since Pokemon Stadium on the N64. But now, we are one step closer to real-life Pokemon. But the one thing that makes Pokemon Concierge shine like a diamond brighter than any other is the love. Most Pokemon media, shows, movies, games, contribute to a big commercial cycle that feeds into itself. I have a whole video talking about the big 3 commercial animes and how they basically print money. Don't get me wrong, Pokemon Concierge is still one big commercial. It's just a commercial made with love. It's obvious that everyone involved has a deep level of respect for the subject matter. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone the extra mile. Just look at all the fun details hidden throughout the show. Now that's passion. And what really shows their dedication is the stop motion animation. Stop motion is probably one of the most labor-intensive forms of animation. Each shot takes meticulous planning, as even simple changes would require entire reshoots. Because animators are working with physical objects, set pieces or puppets may get damaged or destroyed. Plus, you need to make multiple copies of puppets so multiple scenes can be worked on simultaneously. And they can really only move at the pace of one picture at a time, meaning animators are lucky if they even produce 5 seconds of animation a day. All of this takes one thing. And unfortunately, love doesn't pay the bills. I'm afraid that Pokemon Concierge's complexity and cost could threaten its future, as the Pokemon Company isn't known for spending money. While it's business 101 to try to maximize profits and minimize costs, Pokemon takes this to the extreme. Game Freak, which owns a third of the Pokemon Company, is notorious for putting the bare minimum effort into games that still sell like crazy. How long till they realize that they can produce Pokemon Concierge at half the cost by switching it to an anime? And Pokemon Concierge's price tag isn't the only threat to its future. realistically, how long can this series go on for? How many stories do they have planned? It's not like the anime that just piggybacks off the games for eternity. Pokemon Concierge doesn't have that luxury. You can only give Pikachu a deep tissue massage so many times before it gets boring. Yet Pokemon Concierge's ultimate threat is Netflix itself, the platform that cancels shows that don't get a billion streams 8 minutes after launch. I'm still sad about Inside Job. So, Pokemon Concierge was a good trip down memory lane, but if adulthood has taught me anything, it's that nothing good lasts forever. Or does it? At the time of making this video, Pokemon Concierge has been confirmed for a second season. I'm so hopeful for its success. Sure, it may be the ultimate millennial comfort show, but it can appeal to kids as well. The cute Pokemon lure them in, only for them to be hooked by the show's atmosphere and energy. Sure, it's not going to appeal to all children. There's just too many better options. Teen Titans Go has like a fart opera. How are you supposed to compete with that? But this show is a great change of pace from the anime. But I guess none of that matters, as Pokemon Concierge just makes me happy. After all, for me, it is the ultimate comfort show. I could have the worst day ever, and Pokemon Concierge could still make me smile and make me wish I lived in the world of Pokemon. A thought that I haven't had since I was 10 years old. While only 4 episodes exist, clocking in about an hour's worth of content, that's just enough for me to rewatch every couple of months and enjoy it. So even if we never get a single new episode, I just want to say thank you, Dwarf Studios and the Pokemon Company, for having the courage to create this new show that has reawoken my inner child. A show where both kids and adults can slow down and just enjoy a moment of tranquility.